Hey there, designers. It's Tracy here at Flourish and Thrive Academy. And I did this epic Facebook Live and I wanted to share it with you, all about quick start tips for jewelry biz newbies, especially for those of you who are just starting out. So if you're curious how to start a jewelry business or some of the things that you need in place, I wanted to create this video just for you. Throughout the Facebook Live, I also talk about a bunch of free resources we have over at Flourish and Thrive Academy. So make sure that you grab those. And if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, let's dive right into the content. Hi guys. So if you're here joining me, let me know. Hey, I wanted to talk a little bit about some quick start tips for jewelry business tips for newbies, which I think is really important. Robin and I talk a lot about growing a business, but sometimes we forget that people are just starting out and I was sort of selling things on the side. And then all of a sudden, I had a business and it was just like this side business where I had my regular job. I was also in school and I was selling jewelry off my neck. And it was kind of something that just sort of organically came about. And I didn't really do the right things in the beginning. And I'm going to share with you some of the mistakes that I made and some things that you can do right now that you want to make sure is in place so that it's easy for you down the road as your business starts to grow. If you decide to quit your job and do this full time or wherever you are in business, even if you might want to watch this, even if you've been in business for a while, because you might be doing some of these things or might not be doing some of these things. And you really need to get those things in place. So let's dive in. First and foremost, I'd love to know who's here. So if you're joining me live, post a little comment below. And I'd also love for you to share this. So if you know any jewelry business newbies, I would love for you to share this video with them after the live production is over, because I know a lot of you are going to be watching the recording. So first things first, I think one of the most important things that you need to do when you're first starting out is to decide what kind of business structure you want to set up. And I know that might seem like a huge, big chunk. Most of us are probably going to start as sole proprietorships. And truth be told, when I restarted over with my second jewelry business, I'd been in business for a long time. Tracy Matthews Designs was originally a sole proprietorship. And my accountant told me not even to turn it into an S Corp until I was making X amount of money. So you can probably ride as a sole proprietorship for a long time. There are some financial barriers, so you definitely would want to talk to your accountant or some sort of financial advisor to find out which is best for you. But there's a couple different corporate structures that you want to think about. You could stay a sole proprietor, which is what I did for a long time. You can develop an LLC, like a sole LLC, or if you have a partner, you can do a partnership LLC. Or you can do something a little bit more advanced, which is a little bit more costly, but at the end of the day, once you're making a certain amount of money, you'll save money and you can develop an S Corp, which is and these are obviously these corporate structures are for the United States. So if you're living in another country or somewhere else, you still want to get your corporate structure set up. So do a little research, talk to your small business advisors wherever you are, and find out which corporate structure is going to be best for your business. So you want to think about this in advance for a couple of reasons, because you want to understand what kind of write-offs you can take, what kind of deductions you could take on your taxes, and also understand based on that corporate structure, what is your liability? Because the least structure you have in your business, the more liable you are for someone to come after you and sue you if, let's say they get injured by wearing your jewelry. That's probably not going to happen, but you never know. I've heard crazier things. So you want to make sure that you're personally protected from selling to other people. So make sure that you are set up the right way. And as always, we always advise we are not financial advisors, certified public accountants, or anything like that here. So definitely talk with your professionals because they are going to know best. So the next thing that you really want to have in place, and I didn't have this in place for the first couple of years, I've had a couple different versions of this, but you want to make sure that you have a resale license or certificate of authority. And what the resale license or certificate of authority does, it does a couple of things. It allows you to buy things at wholesale prices from wholesale vendors. So you can save that 50%, 60% off of retail prices when you have a resale certificate. It also requires you to pay sales tax in your state if you're in the United States. So once again, if you're in another country, you probably have something similar to this. I know in the EU and the UK, they have VAT tax and stuff like that. So you want to definitely check out what it is for you in the country that you live in if you're not in the United States. but definitely sign up for or get a resale license and make sure that you, or in some states, I know in New York State, it's called a certificate of authority. California, it's called a resale license. So whatever you're doing, make sure that you have the proper certificate in place so that you can buy products at wholesale. Because if you're trying to grow a business, you want to make sure that you're getting the best prices from your vendors. So really, really important thing. And then you want to be on the up and up and pay your taxes. So that's always good. The next thing, and this was a huge mistake that I made for a long time, is you want to make sure that you have a separate bank account for your business and you're not mixing business and personal. I know it's really tempting to just use your personal credit cards, use your personal debit account, use your personal bank account to buy all your beads and your materials and your supplies, but that's a serious no-no. You might not have revenue in your business, so you might be like, well, I don't have any revenue coming in or a lot of revenue coming in to open up a separate bank account. Whatever you do, open up a separate bank account, and even if you put $100 or $50 in that bank account, keep it separate. You do not want to mix things, and I will tell you why. I've been audited twice now. It's a nightmare. I mean, thank goodness my personal and business expenses were separated. Obviously, I had businesses, but one of the things that the auditor asked me and reviewed the first time, because the first time I got audited, I was fighting it myself. The second time I had someone else fight it. And the auditor was actually going through like each of my PayPal transactions to make sure that they weren't personal PayPal transactions. Now, I was smart enough to know that I needed a separate account. I mean, this was after like 11 years in business. I had no repercussions from that audit, but it was very, very stressful. I hope that none of you ever have to go through this. But she automatically assumed, because I had, this business, and because it was my last year in business, my business operated at a loss, that I was taking deductions that were personal in my business account, or taking money personally that was sent to me in my business account. So make sure that you keep it separate, because it's going to save you so much time, energy, and money for a lot of different reasons. Plus, it's really easy to look at your business bank statements and determine, and categorize where your expenses are coming from and what you're using. So keep your bank account separate from your personal and use that only for business. And when I was first starting out and I didn't have all the corporate structures and stuff like that, I just opened a separate personal checking account and put anything that I was writing off, like in the very beginning, wrote it through that account. It made it so much easier. It will save you a lot of time at the end of the year when you're doing taxes. And at the end of the day, legally, you should do that, because it's like an audit red flag if you don't, and you do not want to get audited. Trust me. Like I said, I've been audited twice. The second time I had to pay $50,000 in extra taxes. I felt that I was wronged. I'm not admitting any guilt, but I decided to just pay the taxes, because the amount of money it was going to cost me to fight it was going to cost more than that. And I just gave up. I threw in the towel after 10 months of a good battle. So I needed to close that chapter and move on. The next thing, I have some notes here so I don't forget anything. Hey guys on Instagram, is to make sure that you have, I just forgot what I was going to say. Make sure that you use an accounting system like QuickBooks or Xero. Now, I know a lot of you are using things like different types of accounting systems, like maybe like FreshBooks or, there's so many in my head that I know about. But there's different accounting systems that are invoicing systems that are good for different things. I know some of you might be using your pricing program to invoice, or Square to invoice, or all these other things. But your accounting, even if you're using those other things for invoicing, should be done in a double entry accounting system like QuickBooks or Xero. They're kind of the only ones out there. There's also a program called Wave, which I heard is not as user-friendly. Trust me on this. You want to use something that's more lush, so that as you grow, you have the proper reporting, so that you can properly report all your expenses, so that you can properly get everything documented, and so that when tax season comes and you have to pay your taxes, everything's right there and it's easy peasy. You just hand over your reports to your CPA, and or you can do it yourself if you do it yourself in TurboTax or something like that. You can hand it over and it's all done for you. Trust me on this. I know some of you are going to want to cheat and use an Excel spreadsheet or something like that, or like one of these random accounting system that doesn't have full reporting. just start with a good one now and use a lot of them have free versions that don't have all the features. Just use their free version and then you can upgrade to a better version later when you need it. The next step is to make sure, wait, did I miss something? Oh yeah. The next, I think, I don't know if this is like a tip, but it's also a mistake that people make. So it's sort of like a combo, mistake tip. Can we call it mistake tip? Anyway, so you want to make sure that you're managing your time properly. So I know a lot of you who are probably newer in business might also have another job and you feel overwhelmed. You're not moving the needle. You're not getting the results that you want quick enough. And my guess is that you're not properly structuring your day or you're not properly allocating the time that you do have to work on your business in the right areas. So proper time management is really, really important to make sure that you are getting the most out of your day, getting the most out of your time, and actually focusing on the right things. We call those RGAs over here at Flourish and Thrive Academy, revenue generating activities that are going to help grow your business. It's really, really important. I know a lot of you really struggle with time management. I think it's sort of like the curse of creativity because we want to follow all of our creative ideas all the time and move in all these directions. So if you are someone who has difficulty struggling your time, hit the like or the heart button because I really want to know. Or if you're someone who's mastered your time, hit the like or the heart button because I really want to know. I know it's something that we all struggle with. And we have a great resource here if you haven't grabbed it yet. It's called the Time Optimizer Checklist. It's a totally free download, which you can grab over at flourishthriveacademy.com/time checklist. That's flourishthriveacademy.com/time checklist. After this is over, I know Jess is going to be here kind of posting some links, but I'll also have them in the comments above so you can grab it. The next thing that I see a lot of designers, especially newbies, doing is they're not pricing their jewelry the wrong way. And sometimes you can get stuck in this pricing your jewelry the wrong way thing for a very, very, very long time. So one of the things that you really need to do is make sure that your jewelry is priced the right way. And a quick tip for you, and we also have a cheat sheet for this because we have cheat sheets for almost everything, is to make sure that you are pricing for wholesale first. Even if you don't wholesale, even if you never plan to sell to a retail store, this is very, very important because if you don't do that, you're probably completely underpricing yourself. And the basic formula for that is to take at a minimum the cost of materials plus labor, or you can separate the labor out if you want to. I don't believe in that. I think you should add the labor in there and double that times 2. That gets you the wholesale price. And then you can mark that up by 2.2 to 2.5 to get to your retail price. A standard retail markup is somewhere in between 2.2 and 2.5, depending on the store. To be safe, you want to probably mark it up at 2.5. But then there's also this thing called perceived value. So you want to make sure that you're looking at the piece and making sure that the cost of the materials, the labor, and all that stuff really does represent the price on the back end. So if you're charging too much, if you mark it up and it seems like you're charging too much and you can't get that price for it, you want to make sure that you're adjusting something on the back end. And this is a lot about what we teach in Laying the Foundation in our collection module, how to price properly, but then also how to design to get competitive pricing so that you're not overpriced and that the perceived value for whatever you're doing, so that you're not overpriced or underpriced, I should say. And so that the perceived value of what you're designing and creating and putting out there into the world is something that people actually want to buy and see the value in. So it's really, really important. And you'll hear me say this a million times over. Don't ever try to compete on price. You're never going to win that game. None of us are Walmart or Amazon. We just can't do it. So you need to compete on value and delivering a product that has a really amazing perceived value that people understand why you're charging what you do. So, and that doesn't mean to charge more or to charge less. It just means that it has to be in the right range where the perception of the customer is in alignment with what your pricing is. So we like to call it the right price for your designs. You can call it whatever you want, but that's the truth. So, hey, so we also have a cheat sheet for this. If you want to grab it, head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/pricing cheat sheet. That's flourishthriveacademy.com/pricing cheat sheet. All right, so I see a bunch of you guys on here. If you're here and you have any questions, I would love to answer them. Tracy says, can you say that one more time? It might be the Time Optimizer Checklist. checklist or the pricing cheat sheet, so I can post those here. Jess is going to post them. I'll also have them in the comments below. So it's flourishthriveacademy.com/pricing cheat sheet, and then also flourishthriveacademy.com/time checklist. And for those of you who are just starting out a biz, we have a really amazing beginner's guide that covers the things that I talked about, but also a lot more. So I'd love for you to download that as well. And you can grab that over at flourishthriveacademy.com/startbiz. I'll post it all below. No need to really remember. And I see a bunch of you on Instagram, Imperfectly Beautiful Designs ask, what version of the free QuickBooks should we use? I use QuickBooks Online for my personal invoicing, but there's other versions. I know my bookkeeper we sort of merge both because I like to use the online version because it's easy for me to invoice and send customers. My bookkeeper likes to use the desktop version for actually doing my books, so we sort of merge both. She merges the invoices into that QuickBooks just for ease of use for both of us. But I'm not 100% sure. Oh, thank you guys for all the likes on Instagram. I'm not exactly sure, but if you go on over to QuickBooks.com, I'm sure you could find the versions that are free, or if they have a free version or whatever. And then Xero is Xero. And that's it. Let's see. Handscapes Jewelry says, you're so helpful. Thank you. Oh my gosh, you guys, I love all the hearts. Thank you so much for hearting and liking this, like all these Instagram lives and Facebook lives. Thanks, you guys. So got some questions over here on Facebook. Let's see. Dee says, this is a sort of off topic, but I'm happy to answer it. Is laying the foundation taught once a year, or is it quarterly? Working on myself so that I can finally be able to take it. Dee, we only offer it once a year, our live version. I think we mentioned that throughout the boot camp and throughout the launch. So we only have it once a year. So that's that. Daphne says, about pricing, if you get discounts for the cost of materials, do you use the discounted cost or the original full cost when working out your jewelry prices? That is a great question. I think it would really depend. Are you always getting a discount, or are you buying at wholesale price and that's considered the discount? What I would do is usually average the prices between, like, let's say so when I started my business, I think I've told a lot of you guys this, I was a trained metalsmith, but I sort of started out with beaded design. So we used a lot of beads. So sometimes I would get a good deal, let's say on like turquoise beads, because I used a tiny 2mm turquoise beads for many, many years. And let's say I got like 20 strands at a special price, and then I got like another couple, like 20 strands at a regular price. Probably what I would do is average the cost of both of those based on the number of strands I bought for each, and then figure out how many beads, and then price it by the bead. I would like sort of average out the price. And then that would allow me to give a better deal to my customer. Now, if it's just like a one-time thing and it's a very limited quantity and mostly what you're going to buy is going to be at a higher price, just price it at the higher price. Or conversely, if everything's going to be priced at that lower price because you're getting a better deal, then you price everything at the lower price. And you could do a pricing audit a couple times a year or once a year or whatever. Let's see. Tracy says, my husband has a Mac and we have to use QuickBooks Online. It's not compatible with the other one. Plus, I think it's more user-friendly. Tracy, I think that you can't, I'm not sure what's not compatible, but all you do is you download everything to an Excel spreadsheet or some sort of spreadsheet or a CSV file, and then you can upload information into either version. So I don't know what you mean by not being compatible. Or maybe you're talking about the desktop version isn't compatible with a Mac. I do believe that QuickBooks Now has a Mac version. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, QuickBooks Online is great. It is more user-friendly. I know that a lot of accountants don't like it as much because it's slower than the QuickBooks desktop version. Oh my gosh, Jen, you have an epic question. So I am going to just answer this. Jen says, it's me again. I'm working on updating my line sheets today to make them hopefully more professional and easier to use. Some of our items are stamped with words and phrases and some are not. We have 4 types of bracelets: stamp spoon bracelets, spoon handle bracelets, no stamping. Wow, this is detailed. Let's see. Jen, are you in laying the foundation? This question is way too hard for me to answer on this Facebook Live. Sorry to shut you down. I feel like you posted this in our laying the foundation group though. If you tag me again, I can come back and post. This is just like a really detailed question. I would have to see it laid out. I'm a very visual person. So just describing it, it's not going to tell me anything until I see it. The best, okay, so she's having trouble organizing her line sheets. The best advice I would give to you is to create a visual example and get feedback on it. Create it in a couple of different ways and see what works for you. And then ask your friends or your peers in the LTF group, or if you're in our jewelry business incubator group, you can make sure that you ask them there. And for those of you who don't know, we do have a Flourish and Thrive free Facebook group that is moderated by Jess, our community manager, and peer driven. And you can check that out. If you haven't joined, we'd love for you to join. Jess will post a link below, and I'll also make sure that when the video is not live, I can post all the links that we spoke about in the video above. Let's see. Melissa says there are several methods, first in, first out, average cost. You can Google different costing methods to decide what's best. I think that was towards Daphne's about pricing discounts and how to average it out. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be very specific to your business. So make sure you can Google for sure, or, just take the average number of units that you have and divide the prices and then figure out a price based on that. All right. What about silver and gold? The price from purchase daily till the day it finally finishes the production are quite different. How do you manage future prices? Well, I would take an average. I used to design, I still design gold, a lot of gold, mostly gold jewelry. And I also had a fine jewelry line that I got in big trouble when the economy crashed in 2008 because the price of gold started to spike after I'd already priced my collection. And within 3 months, I was like making no money off of the pieces that I was shipping. It was really, really rough. And, I would keep a quick, close eye. If the market seems to be changing dramatically, I would definitely, maybe like up your prices just a little bit. But you always want to create a little cushioning, especially for a volatile commodities market when the price of gold or silver might change a lot. I think that the times when it really matters is when it's changing drastically. When it went from 400 and then to 800, and then 800 to 1500, like that was pretty dramatic. But if it's changing like $50, like pad that extra $50 into your pricing. But I would do a pricing audit if the market gets really volatile every month. I would also talk, if you're wholesaling, I think that this is where it becomes the biggest problem. You want to make sure you have an open conversation with the people who bought your jewelry and that you're pricing it the right way when you're selling for wholesale, and that, there can be some sort of audit or review if there's like a time period in between when you purchase the materials and when you're actually shipping. Let's see. Oh, and Tracy says, I wasn't asking a question. I was trying to let everyone know that because he has a Mac, we had to switch from the desktop version and we like it better. I do believe they have the Mac desktop version, but we wouldn't go back. She loves QuickBooks Online. Okay, awesome. Thanks for sharing that, hun. Jen says, okay, I'll try my other. I'll offer a restocking fee for returns. Trying to be amenable. What would be a good percentage for that? Jen, I've never done restocking fees. So I'm not the right person to ask. I don't know. Some people charge 50%. Some people charge 10%. A lot of designers do sale or return for, accommodation to keep relationships good with your buyers. It's really up to you. If it's something that you really feel is necessary, do it. I would try to just get them to buy wholesale. And if they don't sell through some product and you want to swap it at the end of the season, just do it as a courtesy. And they have like sort of the requirement is that they'll buy a certain amount over that thing. And then you can do a restocking fee if you want. I don't think that's the best relationship builder, but it's something that other people have done. So I might not be the best person to ask about that. But if you, Jen, if you're in Lane Foundation, you pose that question, make sure Robin's tagged. I know she's flying today and she won't be online until later, but she's flying to New York for New York Now. So ask her that question and we're happy to answer. And I'm sure other people in the group have great feedback too. All right, Tatiana says, thanks so much. I will do so and talk to my clients to ensure some percentage. All right. Okay, guys, awesome for being here. Thanks so much, Instagram. Thanks so much, Facebook, for being here. Great to have you here. I love coming here every Thursday for Facebook Live. Make sure that you check out some of those resources that I shared with you. We have the Beginner's Guide to Starting Your Business. That's over at flourishthriveacademy.com/startbiz. You can grab the pricing cheat sheet over at flourishthriveacademy.com/pricing cheat sheet. You can grab our time optimizer checklist over at flourishthriveacademy.com/time checklist. And what else did I talk about? Oh, our Jewelry Business Incubator Group. You can join us over there at flourishthriveacademy.com/jewelry incubator. All right, you guys, great to be here today. Thanks for joining me. So many fun live faces. I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for commenting and being here. You guys are awesome. Bye, you guys.